person that's on this season
Yeah.
that was the most he had the most dynamic personality. He was the person that hit the hardest. Memes were flying around the world about this guy. He was really the breakout of the show is Big Ed and Rose Marie.
Yeah.
That relationship is the one that people were the most drawn to. It's the most talked about, of all of the relationships. So, on the nighttime show, we, when we do a show with somebody, we like to go for the big get. Like we always try to aim. It's why we've had a lot of Oscar winners on the show. We've had a lot of Emmy winners on the show. When we did when we wanted to do some cast members from The Office, we didn't just do one or two cast members. We did the
whole
cast
thing.
reunion
Yeah.
in front of 10,000 people. So when it comes to a show like 90 Day Fiance,
You gotta get the best.
we got the best,
Yeah.
and that's who we got. We got Big Ed, and so let's chat with him. Let's bring him on. Ladies and gentlemen, our guest today is the big star of 90 Day Fiance.
Before the 90
before
days.
the 90 days, ladies and gentlemen, Big Ed. Big Ed, come on.
What's up? Let's go.
Thank you for joining us today.
Let's do this.
This show has been a runaway hit this season with some of the biggest personalities that we have seen, and you are probably the biggest personality on that show. Definitely a whether you are a fan favorite or the most talked about is still. That's still up in the air, but man, oh man, Big Ed, this is it's a big deal. Us getting to chat with you. So thanks for being on the show.
You got it, and I love how you phrase that. There's been a lot of negative.
It's
I'm just kidding.
though you've gotten a lot of attention on the from the show.
Yeah.
There's a lot of people talking, and but then you also have a lot of love, man. There's a lot of love coming at you too. So
hard punch. That's right. I get a lot of love, and I get a lot of all of it, and I'm happy. I'm loving it. It's starting to sink in.
So tell us about how the casting process for the show works. Like, how do you wind up on this show?
Yes.
Like, did obviously you're aware of the show at some point,
Right.
and then you have a relationship with Rose Marie, who you met on Facebook, and then you contact the show, or how did that work out?
Walk us through this. How did this happen?
Okay, all right. So I'm at a Starbucks, and you put your name inside one of those like a workout things.
Mhm.
Somebody drew my name. I'm just kidding. No. All right. So here's exactly what happened. I fell in love with a girl on Facebook, and I bought a ticket, and I'd never heard of the show, and I posted the fact that I'd bought a ticket, and everybody and their mother sent me like, "Are you doing 90 Day? This is 90 Day." I'm like, "What is 90 Day Fiance?" I'd never heard of the show, the franchise, or anything. So my buddy Rich, who's actually on the show, sent me the little link, and I'm like, "Okay, whatever." I filled it out. 54-year-old in love with a 23-year-old with a 29-year-old daughter, and he bought a ticket. I got a text within 2 hours.
Mm-hmm.
The next day, I'm on the phone with the casting director, and they're like, "Can we look at your social media?"
Mm-hmm.
I'm like, "Absolutely." And they took one look at my social media. They saw all my Big Ed stickers. They're like, "Oh my God, they're gonna love you." First of all, I felt like this is it's really not going to happen. And the next thing you know, I'm being interviewed, and they're like, "Okay, we want to come out with cameras. Can we be there in a week?" And that's how fast it happened.
So when the casting people finally met you, did they actually say the word jackpot out loud? Because you are gold for the show. You're perfect.
I later
for the show.
found out. I later found out that apparently there's money in me just being me. You guys, like my buddy Rich, he posted a photograph. I think it was taken about 12 years ago, and I'm dressed up as Nacho Libre, and I'm dancing on a pool table.
Oh my
That
God.
was 12 years ago. So what you see, what's so ironic about this whole situation is that you look at the show and everybody's like, "Oh my God, you did this for fame. You just wanted to, all the things you do are just trying to show off." I'm like, okay. First of all, name one thing, and this is a question for both you guys.
Sure.
Name one thing I did to make myself look good. Name one thing. Give me you right now. I'm waiting.
Wow.
Tell tell me one thing I did to make myself look, good. I didn't.
Yeah.
But you know what? That's who I am. I'm just a natural goof.
Yeah, man. That is a good point. You're making good points over there. What is the benefit? Because there are people who meet their love of their life, or they meet someone overseas and then bring them here to the U.S. Like this happens a lot. But what is the benefit of doing this on television? Is there some sort of is there any benefit of doing it on TV that you're like, definitely this was something that you considered going for me watching the show? There's one scene on the show where one of the guys is driving his car out in the middle of the Ukraine, and his car breaks down. Yeah. And I was like, yeah, thank God he had a camera crew with him, because I don't know if he would have been able, I don't know if I would have been able to fix my tire and stuff. Is there benefit in having a camera crew with you the whole time?
Oh yeah, it saved my life. So I do high-end design during the day. That's what I'm an interior designer, architect. And when I told my client, I was all excited. I'm like, yeah, I'm being interviewed for this show. And he's like, you know what? He actually himself went to the Philippines, met someone, fell in love, but decided not to go through with it. His first words out of his mouth when I told him what I was doing, he's like, you know what? They're going to skewer you. I'm like, what do you mean skewer? What does that mean? I go, they're going to barbecue you. You're going to show up. They're going to rob you. You look like an American. Don't do it. Don't go there. Go to some like popular city, have her meet you at a hotel, and have your fun and come home. I'm like, look, dude, that's not what I want. That's not, I can do that in San Diego. Okay. And so the fact that I went with a camera crew saved my life. We had security. We went to places where, I don't know, I probably would not have come back alive. And that's the honest to God truth. And that's kind of half of the reason I'm like, okay, what's the worst thing could happen? At least they'll be able to find my body if something was to happen. So having cameras, definitely, going with a camera crew, as much as it hurt me, it helped me. But I can tell you this though, no joking aside, what you saw, it wasn't scripted. Like everything I did is just who I am, and I'm not very bright, and I don't always say the right things. I told her to, hey, you have really bad breath, and take this because it will make drink, brush your teeth and use mouthwash because it makes your breath smell. I don't want to say fresh. I'm like, it will make it smell pretty. And like, what? Like, I can't believe I said that. Like, why did I say that? It's just so. Yeah, definitely going with cameras certainly helped.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Do you feel like that you were portrayed accurately on the show? Like, do you feel like that's like as far as like the true version of who you are, or do you feel like there's some stuff that maybe was taken out of context? I mean, it happens both ways. Yeah.
Unfortunately, yes, I was portrayed. Unfortunately, I cannot allow. I will disallow anybody to take credit for my fucking. Can I cuss?
Yeah.
I cannot allow somebody. I cannot allow somebody to take responsibility for my not thinking actions. For example, I asked her to take an STD test. Why? Because I hadn't been in a relationship in a while. And actually, when I got back from the Philippines, I took a test just to make sure. My daughter's like, Dad, I love you, but you're kind of an idiot. I'm like, well, what do you mean? She's like, well, if you would have taken the test before you went down there and then asked Rose to take the test, but because I'm not thinking, that's not where my mind is. So a lot of the things I really did kind of out of time or out of context. My heart was in the right place, but I didn't do it correctly. I didn't do that right. And that's just one of many.
Not to be making excuses and stuff for things and for people, way people say things, but look, people think a lot of times, that people that watch TV confuse actors and reality a reality star as both being the exact same thing. And one is like actors are polished and edited and do 30 takes of something, and people that are on that are doing a reality show are not. It's like they're saying that sometimes it's their first time ever being on, national television, and they're saying what comes to their head, or their intention may be different than what's being put out. And I kind of felt watching the show, like a couple times I would see you say something and I'd go, oh man, oh god, like this, I know what you're trying to say, but then I'm like, oh god, like it's like it comes out the wrong way and it's getting taken the wrong way, and it's like you've got communication barriers in there. It's difficult. It is a difficult thing for people to remember, I think.
It was. And what's so funny, and what I enjoyed most about just doing this whole, like just going there with cameras, is they told me one time, look, don't look at the camera, okay? And don't act. Just be yourself. They told me that one time. And it was easy for me. And I appreciate you. That's a great observation. At first I thought you were going to give me a compliment, but you never got there. It really, it really, really was. The hard part for me was my feelings were there, but I don't think, I hope I got across to people that, look, I met her before I heard about the show. And in the back of my mind, when I first started to chat with her, I never thought that this would ever happen. I thought this would fake because she's in the Philippines, in the United States. There's no way that we would ever meet. But as I just, started to get to know her, I'm like, oh my God, I never thought of her as like this young girl. She just became this single mother that I wanted to help. Like I could do more for her, Stephen, than I could any woman in a bar in San Diego that I met that I could. And I'm not well to do, I'm not rich. I mean, I'm starting to do really good in sales and so forth, but I knew, worst case scenario, even if I could give her son a better education, it would have been worth it. You know what I mean? It would have been worth it.